Kita mo?
Parang at least nakikita ko pa rin. Kasi talagang total, wala talaga si Kati lang.
Mama ako, mamatay sa akin.
Baka mo, sa kilay pa lang ilang kasi yun.
Dapat, ikahirap mo yun.
Akala ko yun. Parang ganito.
Nakuha mo. Nakuha mo. Nakuha eh. Alam mo, nag-video ko ng passport. Marusap ko.
Sukat na sa baso mo.
Nag-aabo ba? Kukuha ng picture. Sabi niya, nahirap ako sa, nahirap ako sa ano mo sa pangalan mo. Tapos, siguro dito. Lalaki yun na.
Hindi mo ito mag-picture.
So may we request everyone to be properly seated now. Our next speaker will speak on entrepreneurship. He is a popular TV and radio personality with doctorate degrees in education and humanities. At present, he is a member of the faculty of the University of the Philippines in Diliman and at San Beda University in Manila. Without further ado, our Chairman for Human Resource Department of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and we fondly call him as our Science and Technology Ambassador. Ladies and gentlemen, a warm welcome to Dr. Carl E. Balita.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. We say it in Filipino, we say magandang hapon. When somebody tells you you're maganda, that means you're beautiful. Okay, so maganda. Maganda si Ma'am from Singapore. Please, let's give a round of applause to the DOST for doing this. You know, I came from another ASEAN event. Another ASEAN event is happening in Dusit, and that's for TESDA. I was also there. And now I'm here, then I fly back and so forth and on. But I would not miss the chance to pay back to DOST and to be part of this event. I'd like to congratulate you for this. Just a little background. By the way, may I just have a show of hands, because we're Asians, we almost all look the same. May I see the hands of those who come from other countries, please? May I just, so that I may just recognize you. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Philippines. I hope you enjoy our people and our food. Are you? Okay, great. The word entrepreneur is something I coined for Thailand International Business Conference, where I was also a speaker. They asked me to speak about it because the word entrepreneur was born in year, we forgot when, 1920s they say. And therefore, everything evolved already, everything innovated already except the word entrepreneurs. And let's face it, some inventors did not fly because of their failure to be entrepreneurial. Some entrepreneurs couldn't fly because of their failure to see technology and failure to get into innovation. As a matter of fact, I'm one person who will always say, innovate or die. Imitate and die. If you imitate, you die. If you don't innovate, you die. By the way, my authority comes from the fact that I have been hosting this show, Radyo Negosyo. Radyo Negosyo is translated in English is business radio. And I have been doing this for the past 18 years of my life. What does it mean? It means that every brand in this country have been in my show, more or less. And believe it or not, my favorite guests are those coming from DOST, because they are the ones who understand the language of technology, and therefore they are the ones who can speak the language of innovation. Because indeed, it's either you innovate or die. I'm part of this organization. I have there my picture in Romblon, in one of the island provinces here, because I served as their coach. And this is our picture. Director Avila is there. In Romblon also. This is when we graduate people whose challenge was actually to innovate their products so that we can be ready for the world. I'd like to tell you, only last Saturday, Secretary, of course I will not introduce the Secretary because he will have his moment later to be introduced properly. But I'm very proud of an enterprise that I guessed only last Saturday. He came from my province, Oriental Mindoro. You know what? Last year, he invested 10,000 pesos. That's something like $200. He invested 10,000 pesos into banana chips. He went into banana chips business, and just to cut the long story short, after 1 year, this guy who does not even plant banana is now exporting 1 container vans of banana chips every single week in Korea, and ready to export in Qatar and in United Arab Emirates. And you can just imagine, you know, I was buying, the business he started last year for 5 million pesos as a challenge. I buy your business for 5 million pesos now. He said, no. Okay, 10 million pesos, I'm buying it. What you started with 10,000 pesos, I'll buy for 10 million now. And I brought out my checkbook, and he said, no. Why? Is it how much your business cost already? He said, no. Because there are more millions coming to me if I just run it the way I'm running it now, because the world is waiting for me. Wow. You can just imagine that. And that came from our region, Director Avila. Yeah. The beautiful story there is this guy, you know, innovated on the banana chips. And he cited that he is a product of the DOST Food and Innovation Center. And maybe, you know, there are a lot. For those foreigners who may have not traveled the Philippines, go along countryside and that's where you see it. I'd like to tell you, well, I'm the science ambassador. I'm also a beneficiary of this, ladies and gentlemen. I am set up a doctor, meaning my business is I do my little lecture in my little studio, in my little office in Manila, and I'm broadcasted live all over the world because, you know, there are 10 million Filipinos all over the world. So if they want to learn something, they learn from my e-university, which I created with DOST. Just trying to tell you how important technology is indeed in the language of every business. Now this is our reality check, okay? If you would love to read it with me, we live in a world characterized by surplus of similar companies employing similar people with similar educational background, working in similar jobs, coming up with similar ideas, producing similar things with similar prices and similar quality. The magic word is similar. So without technology, how can you be different? That's the point. And then therefore, I have to say, which is why the product life cycle goes like this. After a certain period of time, there's going to be a decline, not only in revenue, and by the way, you know where this is going to death. And that's why reality check again, a corporation in the world fails every 3 minutes. And this is a global data. A company changes control every 15 minutes. And what does it say? 96% of all companies fail within 10 years, and 80% of which during the first 2 years. Therefore, the call, therefore, for innovation is indeed a challenge, because it's either you innovate or die, you imitate and die. A lot of enterprises, especially in the food business, are just copycats of what they see are successful. It's true in the Philippines. I don't know, is it true in your country? Yeah, if one product is successful, what others will do is just to imitate it and believe that by imitating the product, they imitate the success. What happens? They divide the small market and they die together. Or they kill each other on price and they die, and they don't make profit and they die. Probably that explains it. Therefore, the word innopreneur is something I propose in international conferences for business. The fact is that the word entrepreneur is probably the only word that has not changed in the language of business. A lot have changed already. Maybe there is nothing wrong with the word, but the word entrepreneur actually came from the word entrepreneur in French, which means go-between. Therefore, the entrepreneur are only middlemen, the small-time middlemen who have ideas but they don't have the profit. But I think through the years, this has evolved. That's why I propose the word innopreneur. And innopreneur is when the core competency, I think, sorry for having used that color, the core competency of innovation and the character of risk-taking combined. You know for a fact, DOST people would know it better, that some of the many inventions in the world did not fly because of the failure of the inventor to see the entrepreneurial side of the invention. I remember in my show, let me tell you something. I almost, my friends watching and listening to my show at the time were panicking because there was an inventor who invented that he can convert a very dirty body of water from canal into potable water ready to drink. And he was in my show. You know what I did? I challenged the world and I said, okay, in support of science and technology, I will drink the product, the byproduct. Everybody were texting me and they were saying, no, don't drink hard. There are microorganisms beyond what your eyes can see and so on. And they were so, oh my God. But you know, in support of science and technology, I took it. I don't know what happens to me. Maybe after 10 years, a disease will come out and attributed to that moment. But ladies and gentlemen, what I'm trying to say is that I don't think that invention will fly much in the commercial value, because nobody would buy it unless it's for purposes of disasters, things like that. Now, I'd like to focus on entrepreneurship, and therefore I would like to propose a formula. Innovation can only come from invention times commercialization. Innovation equals invention times commercialization. I didn't say plus, I said times. Multiply invention with commercialization, then it gives you innovation. I have to say this, ladies and gentlemen, because I did not use the numerical formula addition, because even if you add invention with 0, it would still have a number. But you know, if you multiply something with 0, you get 0, isn't it? And therefore, even if it's a good invention, if it has no commercial value, then innovation is 0. Or even if it has so much commercial value, if there is no invention, then it leads to 0. That's why, that's the proposed formula that I have here, ladies and gentlemen. And I would like to take it from here. Science for the People, 2017. This is, by the way, for the information of our foreign guests. This is the theme of our DOST, Science for the People. Can you please help me say that? Science for the People. Can you make it louder if you're still awake? Come on, please. Thank you very much. Science for the people. I'd like to capitalize on the two words, and this is of course invented by our secretary, for the purpose of bringing down science to the level of the people. And I'd like to inform the body here that 99% of enterprises in the Philippines belong to the MSME. And the bigger volume of the MSMEs are actually M. And the word upgrading becomes a challenge. Upgrading is when the micro becomes small, and the small becomes medium, and the medium becomes large. Many of our enterprises are trapped to being micro forever. They started micro, they died micro. Some would probably go up level of small, but they are trapped there to being small. They would miss the chance of the ASEAN opportunities, ladies and gentlemen. If we have friends from Indonesia here, maybe, do we have Indonesia? I love your country. You know why? You have 250 million people. You know, Philippines only has 100 million people, and 10,000 of them are even abroad. Yeah, overseas working. You know why I prioritize Indonesia for my expansion? Because you are 2.5 times my country in terms of population. And my product is English. My product is we train people for English. And this is an advertisement. So if you're interested, come to me and let's talk, okay? And I can make that happen because I adopt technology. You know, from kindergarten English to dissertation level English, the services we can provide because we have the access to the entire country through technology. And thank you, DOST, for that. I'm talking. But ladies and gentlemen, science for the people is so important because if you really want equitable development, then we have to help these micro enterprises go beyond. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to tell you that the best business ideas that you can generate in the Philippines, especially in the area of business, are those micro enterprises. Because they are little farmers doing little products, selling little things, but may not have the idea that there is such a thing as ASEAN, and there is this, that there is this opportunity now for free trade, for free movement of goods and services. So Science for the People is really a perfect theme for 2017 because we are hosting ASEAN. Let me propose to you, a lot of questions will be entrepreneurial sources, meaning where do we get the inspiration to be innovators? That's the question. I'd like to be, I'll shift a little being more academic here. I'll shift to being a synthesizer of the many lessons I've learned through the years of interviewing entrepreneurs in my show. The first source will be passion. Passion, it's what they love. What they love. You know, we have old women in this country who would love to cook their traditional delicacies way back their grandmother's days. Imagine that. That's 4 or 5 generations away, and they preserve the recipe the way it was. Passion will trigger that entrepreneurial sources. There's something I want you to try, ladies and gentlemen, our foreigners here. Please don't leave the country without trying our balot. Everybody please say balot. Yeah, balot is an egg. It's where the embryo, to fetus of a chicken is already there. It's a duck, it's duck chicks. So some Filipinos cannot even dare eat it. My daughters kill them, but they won't eat one. But in your case, that is an experience. Imagine telling your countrymen that you came to the Philippines to eat balot. Imagine balot is, you crack the egg, you sift the amniotic fluid, then the little duckling will peep on you and say, "Hi, I'm here, I'm almost to be hatched," but and you eat it. But that balot now goes to the bottles. Why? Because it's easier to eat it in the bottles, and now it's now covered by something. And wow, imagine that recipe from a place called Pateros in our country now goes entrepreneurial and will go in bottles and will be served to many Filipinos who will miss this balot elsewhere in the world, and then make it as a survival challenge, probably in some cooking shows, etc. Passion is a very good source of entrepreneurial ideas. Environment. We look around. I suggest if those who are Filipinos here who are expanding your businesses, look at the environment. I just came from Vietnam. I saw some nice business ideas that we can adopt. I bought this. I bought Abilay. I bought this guava sliced in Vietnam airport because I was running, I want to use all the money that I have in the currency, and I got this, and you know what, while I was eating it, I said, wow, this is so good. This is so good that you can adapt it to any fruit at all. And of course, ma'am, we have it already in the Philippines. Opportunities. The opportunities are there. Look at this banana chips maker who's now exporting it to Korea. And by the way, his next leg is China. As a matter of fact, his label already has Chinese translation at this point in time, even if he's not yet expanding in China. Because you know, you sell toothpick in China and you will be millionaire if everybody buys toothpick from you. You can just imagine their population. Problems. Problems of the oversupply during production times. Maybe that will start an entrepreneurial idea. Lifestyles. Everybody wants simple, quick lifestyles now. We have seen many products that comes handy to you. Believe it or not, even disaster foods are now in cans. There is one social entrepreneur in the Philippines who created, a vacuum-packed preparation of food that you may use in evacuation centers. Because you know, there are many typhoons coming to the Philippines, and some Filipinos are trapped in evacuation centers, and give them canned goods and they don't have anything to open it, then you give them problems rather than solutions. So what he did was to put it there, and it's a complete meal during the times of disasters. And what he said, she's selling it to the Rotary clubs, Lion clubs. Why? Because in times of disasters, these are people who may have the funds to support the people in the evacuation centers. Well, and enterprises. Ladies and gentlemen, there are many enterprises that are in need of good products. The hotels where we are would probably love to have products that are available for their tourists, especially that our tourism industry, really, the Asean is at its boom. And this gives me now that the sources of ideas are actually people. So that's the first word that I use from Science for the People. Bring out what you love to do, what you're good at, passion tells it. Open your eyes to the environment and you see opportunities for innovation, adopt it. Opportunities there are, when the doors are open, try to enter and see what you can offer. Problems, open it up, turn it upside down, they become opportunities. Lifestyle, follow the lifestyles of people, and probably it will force you to create some innovations in the product you offer, especially food. And the enterprises find out what they need, because the enterprises are major markets for our products. Outsourcing, you know, one entrepreneur in the province of Director Abilay was producing that shrimp paste. Shrimp paste. He's a small-time shrimp paste maker. And this DOST created an exhibit, and he was one of the exhibitors for free in Manila. And by the way, their province, you have to sleep overnight in a boat so that you can reach their province. You can just imagine. So he was there exhibiting. Somebody approached him and said, "Can you supply us with your shrimp paste?" And he said, "Yes, sure." You know what was the next question? "Can you supply 10,000 bottles of cream paste every week?" And he said, "Oh my God, where will I get all these little shrimps to be put in that shrimp paste?" You know what he did that evening? Because he had to say, "No, I cannot." And you know what he did at night? Well, he drank alcohol because he wanted to forget that the opportunity of millions really disappeared before his eyes. Why? Because he was not ready for it. And this was actually one brand in the Philippines who will use that shrimp paste for one of their recipes. You can just imagine. So sources of ideas are just all around us. We just have to be creative about it. Then there is also an entrepreneurial process. Let me propose a process. If you want to be entrepreneurial, let me propose a series of steps that we can do actually. The first is look at the scenario. What is the current scenario? The scenario refers to now. This is now. Okay, then I look at the chance. Do I have the chance? Do I stand the chance? Alright, do I have the chance to be part of this changing scenario? The next will be, what is the idea that I can offer to this current scenario? The next will be, Who do I engage? What do I engage? How do I get engaged? That's the next question, so that I can propose innovation. And later on you say, okay, I'm here, why am I innovating? Because I want to change. Alright, and therefore after I realize that there is something I need to change, then you say, okay, I am ready now to create an enterprise. This brings us to the science of entrepreneurship, the science of innopreneurship. Scenario that gives you the chance to express an idea that engages innovation, that brings about change through an enterprise. How do I make a difference? And your favorite word is here, science. Science for the people. If we engage in the entrepreneurial or innopreneurial process for the people, then we will have success stories to tell about entrepreneurship. So can you give it a round of applause for the word science now having its new meaning? I knew some of you wanted to do that earlier. You know, when we are in international conferences, we become a little more stiff, you know? If you're only Filipinos here, you know what I'll do. You know, I'll make you stand up and dance. You know, let's do Zumba, all right? Yeah, but you know, let's loosen up a bit. Ladies and gentlemen, if indeed science is about the process of solving problems using a process, and we have the PhDs here to talk about it, I think it begins with your entrepreneurial mind looking at that scenario and checking if there is a chance that I can express an idea that will engage innovation so that I can bring about change. And I will have enterprise to sustain it. Because without the enterprise, maybe change will not be sustainable. You know, that's a problem with some innovations that I saw around. There were also beautiful concepts that I saw in my show or in the Philippines that ended up failing, not because it was a failure of idea, but because it was a failure of enterprise. And that's why, to me, a successful innopreneur will not only look at an idea and what I can do with an idea, we look into the market, you know. At the end of the day, the market is just there sitting and waiting for what difference you can offer and what purpose you can achieve. I'm one person who will always advise, I'm a business coach who will always advise that never play tennis with your eyes on the scoreboard. We play tennis with our eyes on the ball, and it's in playing the ball well that we get the right scoreboard. You know, I'm one business coach who will say that pricing is something that comes last because pricing is only a matter of strategy. If I have a product, you know, some will say, some business coach will say, in food you have to get the raw materials times 3 and that's your price. Whoever said that? I can do it times 10 or times 20 if I have to, especially if my market is, you know, a group that I can afford. For example, a Louis Vuitton bag costing 300,000 pesos will probably not cost much, but you know, sell original to one who loves Louis Vuitton and sell it for 100 pesos, they will doubt if that's so real, isn't it? And I think, you know, we have to, I don't know with your countries, but in the Philippines, we are not very entrepreneurial. Because, you know, we have a very rich history. We are Malays, you know, who spent 400 years in the convent and 50 years in Hollywood. And we had stopovers in, you know, in Japan. And we love sashimi, you know. That's how diverse our culture is. In our history, it's written in one of my books that I explained it there why Filipinos are not very entrepreneurial. Because for the longest time in our history, we were allowed to create, but we were not allowed to sell. They get our products so that they sell our products. So what have we become? We have become workers for somebody else's dream. And these little entrepreneurs by the regions, by the far-flung areas of the Philippines, are people who were doing it because they had nothing else to do. But you know, a lot of Filipinos will be sent to school so that they can go abroad so that they can earn the dollars. Less will say, okay, you finish your school so that you become entrepreneurial. Therefore, what I'm saying this because I think first and foremost, we have to convert the thinking, that employment mentality into a more entrepreneurial mentality as far as our Asian cultures are concerned. As far as the Philippines is, we still have a lot of business to do along that line. And I'm glad that DOST may actually soon be part of my show. I hope, no, I hope. So that we can propagate this idea. This FIC, ladies and gentlemen, let me stand here as a private citizen, an officer of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Let me stand here and tell you that one of the best things that DOST ever did is to put these food innovation centers in the region, because the technology becomes less expensive and actually very accessible for our Filipinos. Palakpakan naman. I mean, let's give them a round of applause, please. I'm serious. You can quote me for saying this. This is probably one of the best things that you have ever done for the food sector and the beverage sectors. Because we're not afraid anymore of investing so much, because I can try out and realize it can be done, therefore I'm ready for more. And they have assisted a lot. Believe me, they have assisted a lot. And I'm always quoted in my show that I love the DOST, and I always give preference to what they can do. You know why? Not because the other government agencies are not doing the jobs, no. But because I think the core is in the products, and the core is in the innovation. Then comes other agencies to sell them. That's their problem. Okay? Now, finally, science for the people is, I think I have contextualized science being the process and people being the source of the ideas. Upgrading, let me just touch on this. Upgrading is when the micro becomes small, the small becomes medium, and the medium becomes large. There was, of course, this is the onion model. I will not be academic here, but just to tell you that in the middle of this onion is always the entrepreneur. The success of upgrading will always be most dependent on the person. Now, I will not go to the details, but there was a study conducted in the Philippines, supported by Australian funding. You know what they did? They followed through enterprises without intervention, ladies and gentlemen. They followed enterprises over 6 years. They just followed them. They just documented them, monitored them, watched them. And after 6 years, they asked themselves, who among these enterprises actually upgraded? This is science, this is research, very beautiful research. Which of these enterprises upgraded? Then they came up to the question, what do these enterprises that upgraded have versus what is it that these enterprises that did not upgrade lacked over the years? And they have the answers. These are the answers. On the entrepreneur, it's there. Enterprise, it's there. Business and social network, it's there. Business environment is there. But come to think of it, ladies and gentlemen, I place it in red. Please look at the screen and watch with me. Among the factors that this research found out to be critical and essential and indispensable, I use those adjectives so well, were actually related to science and technology. Come to think of it. We may be talking of small food business here, but we're talking of reality and what science measured as essential. Education and training. Could you have that without technology? Well, hello, Google provides you, right? All the information you probably need. A lot are almost all in the internet already. Proactive search for information. And information is, it's all about it. See, international exposure is even related. Look at what the enterprise says were characterized among those that succeeded. Simple research and development. Investing in technology. For those who are observing the Philippine models, please also be curious about the setup. I don't know if we have talked about setup for them, but I think you should look into our setup program. That's the Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program. It's a beautiful program that you may want to learn from as well if you're benchmarking the Philippine experience. It has so much into the investment of technology. Look at the business social network. Integration in the global value chain. Many of our products are just so good. Many of our food, in the Philippines, by the way, I'd like to tell you, you cross an island and you get a different tongue. Have you heard of any foreigner in this room who have heard about chili ice cream? And do you imagine eating ice cream that is chili flavored? Maybe the Thai loves it. You love the Thai people love chili, no? I don't trust Thai people when they say it's not spicy, because what is not spicy to them will burn my tongue already, And Indonesians also, you love chili. There is chili ice cream here. Can you imagine? But you know, the chili ice cream is something they sell by the dirty way ice cream in Bicol, in one of the regions in the Philippines. But now it is packaged such that it is ready for the world. And it is now integrated there. Okay? Look at that. Trade fair exhibits, this happens. And you know what? The best attraction, I think one of the best things that the DOST did for the enterprises is on their packaging. Not only for the shelf life, not only for the integrity of the products, etc., but I think it's the aesthetics that matter. You know, aesthetics matter. And I think they're very good at it. They're not only scientists who would look into all the germs and all the protections of the consumer, but I think they are also into already realizing the psychology of colors, you know, the branding, etc., all of those. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, look at that. Last portion, right side. Access to government services and facilities. If the research is true, on the screen now are the essential elements of upgrading. And by conclusion, almost half of these elements are actually about science and technology. So which is why we're here. Now to end this part, I'd like to leave you with something, and I'll be ready to answer questions if ever there is any, and if I'm allowed with time. I would like to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that if you want development, we should espouse empowerment. Development spouses empowerment. If we want to develop, we empower people. And the biggest sector, I don't know, but in the Philippines, the biggest sector is still food. And the best business one can go into is still food, because we know, in the Philippines, we eat 6 times a day. I don't know with your country, but here we eat 6 times a day. Yeah, 6 times a day. You know, we wake up for breakfast, between breakfast and lunch we eat, we call that merienda, then we eat lunch, then after lunch, about 2 o'clock we eat again, then we eat dinner, then we have midnight snacks, okay? That even excludes those things that are in our bag, okay? I'd like to prove that to you. All people with bags, please bring out your food, come on. I'm sure you will have food, you know, they will have little peanut there, or little chocolate bar or something. That's how we are. We love to eat, yeah? And that's why diabetes is also rising here, okay? But seriously, development spouses empowerment. I have to say that opportunity unlocks entrepreneurship. If only people will see opportunities, it will unlock the door to entrepreneurship. I have to say that sustainability unfolds vision. Any startup should focus on sustainability. The next question after asking the question, how do I start, is actually how do I sustain? Then comes how do I grow? Then how do I close if it doesn't work? But the point is sustainability unfolds vision. The problem is many entrepreneurs lack the vision. Everybody say vision. Vision is the ideal state of the future. That guy who is exporting 1 container van of banana, you know, of banana chips to Korea, do you know he's making 1,000 kilos of bananas to banana chips every single day? Can you imagine that? Now, you know, sustainability is already part of his game. He's now asking himself, you know, that I said, what are the problems you see in the future? And you know, his answer was, supply. So how are you handling this? Sir, I already bought several hectares of land in our province so that I can plant already my own banana. Because, you know, and I also have another plantation, not in Mindoro, in another place, because so that if typhoon comes and destroys my farm, I have a backup farm somewhere else. See, a man of vision. He sees the future much ahead before others sees it. Because this vision is the ideal state of the future. I just hope every entrepreneur would have it, because without it, I don't think anybody will still be interested in innovation. As a matter of fact, ladies and gentlemen, I have to say that sometimes the lack of innovation is because of the lack of vision. They're happy with what they have. They love the status quo, and this will not make them grow, of course. Last but not the least, let's not forget that technology bridges future. Okay, these are some of the summarized lessons that I've learned from my you know, aside from my education, from my own business that I have grown, that I want to grow in your country, by the way, okay? That's another advertisement, okay? If you're interested to be my partner for my language centers in the ASEAN, approach me, because before others approach you. And therefore, I'd like to say that, help me read this. Everybody please help me read this. Development, spouses, empowerment. Opportunity unlocks entrepreneurship. Sustainability unfolds vision. Technology bridges the future. In my country, we simply call it DOST. So that's my gift to DOST. The development we want comes from the opportunity that we see and the sustainability that we plan that we can only achieve through technology. Because we're concerned about empowerment, and entrepreneurship is the best source of it, and the vision leads us to the future. Simple words, play of words, but indeed it comes from the core, and that core is the entrepreneur. But that entrepreneur will probably even die and will make no sense unless that entrepreneur becomes innovator or will engage in innovations. And finally, this is my favorite quotation in the world. You have to color outside the lines once in a while if you want to make your life a masterpiece. The beauty of entrepreneurship is it makes you immortal. If I die today, I hope not. If I die today, I have immortalized myself. Why? Because I have written books. I have a family. I have planted trees. And last but not the least, I have created an enterprise that my children and the next generation will probably take care of. So think about this, ladies and gentlemen. Are you already immortal? If the answer is not yet, maybe you start a business and put it under your name. And your family will continue it, and you become immortal. Alright? And I'm very happy to be here because indeed, as neighbors, we belong to one country, one vision, you know, one passion, one region. We have to be one community bringing about one change. Because if not, then there's going to be a problem. Therefore, in conclusion, I would like to say that the neighboring countries, Vietnam, Singapore, Thailand, we probably have the same products, if you will realize. Let's not compete with each other. Let's actually collaborate. Okay, don't learn English, for example, from the Caucasian. You know, Filipinos do it better. Do you know that? So don't franchise from them. Franchise from me. That's my third advertisement. Yeah, you know, because we have to love ourselves. We have to love our region. That's what I always say whenever I speak ASEAN. Because I don't think we're not competing with each other. At the end of the day, it's about competition. It has changed. It has evolved. It's about competition. Because collaboration is better than competition. So we would like to collaborate with you. Indonesia, you're such a big market. You may not want to produce them anymore. We can supply it, don't worry. You know, Thailand, oh my God, we love your country. You know? Maybe we can really collaborate. Maybe even our raw materials can crisscross. At the end of the day, for ASEAN, this is where the next century is. And thank you very much for coming to the Philippines. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Dr. Carmelita. Truly, your passion tells it all. And I couldn't agree more that you are the ambassador of science and technology. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our Deputy Director for R&D, Dr. Annabel Briones, to introduce our keynote speaker.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is a pleasure to introduce our distinguished keynote speaker, the Secretary of the Philippine Department of Science and Technology, Secretary Fortunato T. de la Peña. Our Secretary, as a dedicated government official, starting his service from 1982 to the present, was able to serve our country in various capacities as a professor, a researcher, and a very able administrator of several agencies and institutions. He was also a recipient of several awards in recognition as an outstanding chemical engineer and administrator, and as an Asean engineer since 2013 among them. He was also a pillar of other professional and scientific organizations and has been the president of the Association of Management and Industrial Engineers of the Philippines, AMIEP, the Philippine Institute of Chemical Engineers, ICHE, and the National Research Council of the Philippines. At present, he also serves as president of the Philippine Association for the Advancement of Science and Technology. Currently, he is the main driver of Science, Technology, and Innovation, or STI, in the country, steering the growth for national development as the Secretary of the Department of Science and Technology. The thrust of the DOST under De La Peña's stewardship is aligned with the priorities of the present administration that aims to trigger inclusive growth in the fields of agriculture, food, health, and education, with emphasis on countryside development. His unwavering support and recognition of the initiatives of the Industrial Technology Development Institute as it pursues advancing STI for national development is unprecedented. His leadership continues to support the implementation of the DOST Food Innovation Center program, recognizing the critical impact in accelerating the development of the Philippine food industry sector. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote speaker for this afternoon, the DOST Secretary Fortunato T. De La Peña.
Thank you, Dr. Briones. I would like to add my own words of welcome to all the participants, particularly from the ASEAN member states who are here today. I actually delivered my message this morning through video because I had to stay in the, to preside the board meeting of the Philippine Science High School the whole morning. But I insisted that I will come here even for a brief message just to be with you. And actually, I think there will be some PowerPoint that I can refer to later. Actually, for the years 2017 to 2018, the Philippines, as one of the ASEAN member states, have committed the equivalent of $1 million US to be spent for training activities that will benefit researchers and scientists from the ASEAN member states. And among those that have been included in the list of training programs under this commitment are the following, but not this is not a complete listing. So one of them is in advanced microelectronics design, which has already been completed, and then a series of training courses in genomics. Then we have also a series of training courses in LiDAR technology, and of course this one, the seminar workshop on the operation of food innovation centers. In addition, we actively participate in activities of ASEAN through the Committee on Science and Technology. But recently, we also signed a memorandum of understanding with the Thai government on collaboration with on science and technology. Now, Science for the People, as has been described earlier, it was shown by our friend Dr. Carl Bolita, is really our response to the call for inclusive development. Allow me to enumerate the programs which we undertake to ensure that this inclusive development will take place, and I'm referring more particularly to inclusive development that will cover the different regions and different sectors of the country. For example, in the case of research and development, we are exerting all efforts so that the research institutions which are found in the different parts of the country, for example, those that are within universities in different regions, can participate in the research and development process. And unlike before, when we only had a very small group of research institutions that were really actively involved, we are encouraging through a number of ways, through incentives, through support, through human resource development, the participation of these research centers in the regions. Secondly, we are really addressing the issue of productivity. And Dr. Carvalita already mentioned a specific program addressed to our small and medium enterprises. It is not really new. This has been running since 2003, the Small Enterprises Technology Upgrading Program. But really, we have seen that it is very effective in upgrading our small enterprises, both in terms of capacity, in terms of quality, in terms of productivity. And we are happy that today, these small enterprises that we have assisted through productivity improvement some of them are already embarking on simple research and development. So actually my messages here dovetails very well with what Dr. Balita has shown you regarding those bold letters which have been shown to be very significant in terms of improving or upgrading the enterprises that have been studied. So this particular program that has been referred to is one way by which we enable our enterprises to acquire the necessary hardware, software, even humanware that are needed to upgrade their technology. So this involves some funding support, but it is not given to the enterprises. It's really we just make it easy for them to have access and procure the needed hardware and software. We advance the money, but they pay for it without interest. Now, the other thing, of course, is that of technology transfers, because not all of, well, very few of these small enterprises undertake their own research and development. We make sure that whatever good outcomes of R&D in the laboratories, whether in the national laboratories or research and development institutions, or whether in the universities or other institutions doing research funded by government, will benefit from these outcomes of R&D through technology transfer activities. So this particular administration emphasizes technology transfer to maximize the utilization of the results of R&D. And this means that we go out to the regions, we hold technology transfer days, and we have fully taken advantage of a particular piece of legislation that was passed in 2010, which is our Technology Transfer Act. It has really facilitated things. It has standardized the protocols that we need to undertake, and most of all, we were given the necessary, shall we say, basis for negotiating in the process of technology transfer. The other thing, of course, is the facilities improvement. Again, later on, I will compare these programs that we are undertaking to ensure inclusive development. In the case of facilities, even in the early days, we saw the importance of having access to facilities for science and technology. For example, testing facilities, standardization, calibration, and other related services, particularly to help or to assist our enterprises or industries. So I still remember the day when, or the year when we started going to the regions. This was in 1982. Prior to that, we had no facilities in the regions, we had no regional offices, and that was really the beginning. And fortunately, I was there. I was then the head of the planning service of the Department of Science and Technology, and I have seen the growth of these regional facilities. Today, we are continuously upgrading these facilities so that they can cover more services that are needed by our different clientele. And let us not forget the importance of human resource development. To us, this is really one way for addressing the issue of inclusive development. And the Department of Science and Technology not only stresses the importance of providing scholarships at different levels, but at the same time also to provide for the training that will be needed by those that are engaged in the productive sector. So let me just try to compare what Dr. Carl Balita has shown here in bold print, as important and critical components in the growth of enterprises. So he identified there in one of the columns simple R&D. Okay, and I said we are really seeing to it that R&D will be participated in by our institutions in the region, and we have actually launched a new program. We call it BIST, Business Innovation through Science and Technology, wherein, just like in the program we call Set Up, we can assist the small enterprises who want to put up their research development facilities. We can assist them. We will not give the facilities and equipment to them. We will help them acquire it, but they will have to repay. Now, in the case of investing in technology, which was actually highlighted by Dr. Balita also, I think this is really the essence of our small enterprises technology upgrading program. Enterprises are now investing, okay? So they use part of their income, they use whatever resources they have at hand to see to it that there will be improvement in their operations through technology upgrading. And of course, there is a mention here of improving the global value chain. That is also part of what we are trying to accomplish through R&D, through productivity improvement, technology transfer, and the provision of facilities. There are some aspects there that are market related. For example, trade fair and exhibits. This is largely a function that is associated with the Department of Trade and Industry, but we do have our own version of promoting the products that our small enterprises utilizing technology have. So for example, in almost every region, when we conduct our regional technology fairs and exhibits, we include the promotion of the products of the companies that we have assisted. And today, we have an innovative program. I don't know whether this was mentioned already, maybe Dr. Carl should pick this up. The One Store, which is the online marketing system, has really been improving the market performance of those that we have assisted. My recent experiences actually, shall we say, reinforces our determination to bring science down to the people. And let me just share with you the recent visits that I have made to, shall we say, to prove that through science and technology there can be a lot of improvement. And for example, I arrived from Kalinga. What day is today? Last Saturday. I arrived from Kalinga last Saturday. Kalinga is of course in the mountain provinces, and I was only able to visit a few of our beneficiaries. But in two of the three beneficiaries, it was very clear that they used the technology that they had inherited from their parents, okay, to improve the business that they were operating now, okay. So the first that I visited was this company owned by a certain Miss Seta, and she is very popular for her Kalinga Brew. Kalinga Brew. The Kalinga Brew is a very popular brand of coffee. They are well known for their civet coffee, and so I had my own education on civet coffee from her when I visited the place. So, and I learned that, for example, this civet coffee, which are actually helped to be processed by what is alabit in English?
Civet.
Ano?
Civet cat.
Civet cat. Okay. Anyway, these wild cats in the forest are the ones who help process the civet coffee. And when I saw what this looked like before roasting, well, it is still the coffee bean, but they are, how do you call it? lumped together because after excreting it, okay, the wildcat just gets the flavor outside of the coffee bean, but it is not digested, so it comes out, and they are lumped together, and this is what gives the very good flavor when they are roasted. And imagine the price is almost 10 times the regular brew. Anyway, the Department of Science and Technology assisted the enterprise and is now really very well known internationally, although she is not exporting, but the buyers from abroad are coming over to buy the coffee. But another example is the winemaker. Dr. Balita mentioned also that many Filipinos go abroad to work as overseas workers, and this was an example. This lady, very young lady, she comes from a family of native winemakers, the native rice wine. They call it apoy in the mountain provinces, something like the equivalent of sake in Japan. And so they learned winemaking from their mother, and after working for almost 8 years abroad, okay, as an overseas Filipino worker, she realized that she has saved enough, okay, to start her own business. So naturally, the business that she went into was something related to what she learned from her mother, and it was into winemaking. Okay, so now she has many different types of wines, in addition to the rice wine that her mother used to produce. But now they use improved technology, and of course with the assistance that we gave them, has been able to expand their capacity. Another example, just to show you that these innovations in food are indeed contributing a lot, particularly to the economy of our regions. Mention was made of some examples from the region of Dr. Abilay there, and the classic example is the rice cake, the suman, that has really been a phenomenal success from a small kitchen, okay, to a big plant operations that has really been benefiting workers and suppliers, and at the same time being distributed nationwide. There are the cases of pili in our Bicol region, which has now found markets abroad. And even some of the sweet delicacies like the ones we find in Region 6, in Iloilo, in Bacolod, their butterscotch and other similar products has found their way to international markets. Mention was made by Dr. Carl of Balut. Okay, I will not mention innovations in Balut because it is better in the original way. Okay, but the innovations that we have introduced is the use of instrumentation to determine whether the balut is already good for harvest, okay, or whether it has to be downgraded into something else. Okay, and I think that the picture there would show you some of these things that I'm talking about. So I don't know whether that is balut, but we have assisted the people in the poultry business. Mention was made of the emergency food, and I think ITDI won an award or was cited because of their instant, how do you call it, arroz caldo? Pack of Hope, and I think you should distribute it here in this conference just to be able to convince our participants that you have done something that is not only good for disaster-stricken areas, but something that you can take home and also try at your own dining table. There are many other examples. We have the pollock sardines, we have the calamansi from different places. And I'm sure that you will be amazed to find the different innovations that I myself witnessed. I went to Mindoro, and we were treated with the products, okay, of our food innovation centers. We were served food, which was not a product of the innovation center. We were served reposado. This is the shrimp, how do you call it in English? It's like what's the Japanese version? That's like tempura, okay? But we can dip it in vinegar, okay? But in that particular demonstration, I was given powdered vinegar, so I don't need vinegar sauce anymore. I just put the powdered vinegar, and that completes the flavor. Ice cream was mentioned. He mentioned chili ice cream. I have seen the innovations in other regions. They have tilapia ice cream. They have gabi ice cream. All sorts of ice cream using different flavors, and of course the processing of cocoa sugar has become very popular also. Mention was made about treating diabetes. I think this is one contribution that we have. Anyway, the facilities have been shown in the slides that we have there. There are other things in the presentation of Dr. Balita that I found interesting. It says there, development espouses empowerment. But you know, as I went around the different enterprises that I saw, when it comes to the food business, okay, usually the wife, the spouse was the originator of the business. Okay? So the spouse has empowered the family business, really. Maybe when we are talking of the machine shop and the equipment sector, the husbands are usually the ones who have started it. But when you talk of the food business, of the GT8 gift toys and housewares business, it's usually the wife who has started the business and who has seen to it that it has grown. So I think it's not only development that espouses empowerment, you know, espouses empower development. So I would like to end my talk by again adding my own words of welcome to you, and we look forward to more activities that will bring ASEAN member states together, because we really need to be strong. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Secretary de la Peña. At this point in time, we recall Dr. Asansa and Secretary de la Peña to award the Certificate of Appreciation to our distinguished panel from the ASEAN.
We call on Ms. Manaloong. Ms. Asima binti Hafiz Ahmad. Ms. Patra Ahmadi Pirsahid. Engineer Norbert Ombagan. Mr. Dennis Policar for Dr. Tejada. Mr. Cristanto Santosa. Engineer Norbert Ambagan. Dr. Carl Balita. And Dr. Dennis Policar.
Parang ito. They see you.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big hand for all our speakers here. Thank you, Secretary de la Peña. And we are now calling all our participants to please proceed to your workshop area. And we will be coming back for the presentation by 4:45.